welcome to the first episode of my podcast, which I decided to call Safe to Feel, or the Safe to Feel podcast. My name's Leah, and welcome. I am so excited to be starting this. This is something that I have been wanting to do, making a podcast, for probably about 2 years now. It's something I've thought about for quite some time, and it's crazy. Excuse me. It's crazy that it's been so long, it took so long, but the truth is, you're probably like, what? If you wanted to do it for 2 years, why didn't you do it sooner? And over that period of time, and I think this would be true for a lot of things for me, a lot of projects that I've wanted to present, information I've wanted to share, and it all came down to this sense of perfectionism and ultimately a fear, and just dismantling this belief that I need to show up perfectly when I am presenting myself publicly. I need to show up in that way, but that's not true. And something that I told myself along this process was, it's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. And I think that really sort of shifted things for me, and recently I've just been getting a lot of really clear and powerful messages to do it, to put myself out there and to make my podcast that I've been wanting to make with no expectations, but purely for the fulfillment of wanting to do such a thing. So yeah, here I am, and if you're here, I'm so happy that you're here, and I hope that you stay with me on my journey here, my journey in life and this podcast. I think there will be a lot of topics that will be discussed, and I'm not sure, but I do know that I will be showing up authentically each time, and I'm just really excited to be here. Currently in my life, I'm on a beautiful journey of singlehood, and it is chosen, and this time it feels very whole. It feels very complete and calm and stable and fulfilled. And it's, I guess, sort of the time in my life right now. Oh my gosh, there is a wasp. The time in my life, or this season of my life, really feels quiet and stable and consistent in a way. And I've really been honoring and embracing that, because for a long time I recognize and think that I would always search for more clarity, more, I'm not sure what the word is, but just anything that would make me feel alive. And I was always chasing a very profound and transformative feeling, and for a long time that was sort of the season I was in my life. The chapter was deep transformation and epiphanies and spiritual awakenings and inner awakenings. And I was really used to that, and like the solitude that I embrace now has a lot different tone and feeling than the one in the past years. And in the past, it was like always like I was having these profound awakenings and epiphanies, and like it felt so transformative and magical and intense. And now it's still magical, but it's in a very grounded and quiet and subtle way, very powerful, but just very rooted. And like even the intuitive messages I've received when connecting to, my higher self and my guides, they've just been so clear, calm, and but like receiving the clarity is just like very deep and calming rather than being like intense and like shocking, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's nice though, like in a way, like sometimes I feel like the boredom that I feel has really allowed space for me to connect with myself, and it's really giving me the opportunity to practice and use the tools and wisdom I've gained over those years that have felt more intense and transformative in a very, I don't know, like a deep way. And I just feel like in this time it's a quieter way, if that makes sense. In my inner world at least. And so just adjusting to that and really honoring it and seeing the value in it is kind of where I've been at. And it's so crazy, like in this chapter of my life, I've really just, like I said, been putting those tools into practice. And this is, I would call this my second phase of singlehood. And this one feels so much different than the first one. This one feels so much more rooted and, as I said in the beginning, just very whole and complete. And it came with this real inner knowing. It was actually a moment a few nights ago. I was sitting at my altar and I was receiving this message about the divine feminine and masculine within myself, and how there is a beautiful balance in my life within myself of these my energies, and like specifically how my masculine was showing up and how my feminine was showing up. And I was just like, I am whole and complete. Like, I am the balance. I was gonna say perfect balance, but that doesn't even exist, right? Perfect. I am the balance between them both right now. And just really honoring and seeing both energies and how they both show up and co-create together. And I was like, just in that really calm clarity and peaceful knowing of like, wow, like I am my own soulmate. And I think the concept of, having a soulmate outside of ourselves or a counterpart, or what is it called? Not a counterpart, the other half of us. It really takes away from us realizing that, well, let me rephrase that. I think the concept of having another half or someone else completing you, or, looking for the masculine to your feminine or the feminine to your masculine, really leaves us always half empty in a way. Even if we're with that person, it's like there is no other part. There is nothing to fill that space but you. Like, soulmate, you are your own soulmate because you are your soul. And it's like such a beautiful union of the self and maybe even just like the ego and the soul in a way. I don't know, that was just a thought that came to my mind, but yeah, it's just like, wow, like there's no one in the world who completes you more than yourself. And coming into that truth and wholeness of knowing that, like, I am the person, for me, is so grounding and profound in a very subtle way, it feels like. And like, there are thousands of people in your life to honor and love and see and hear and, spend time with, and even having a partner or friendships or family members, people in your life. It's a beautiful thing, but the other half, there's no other half. It's you. And it's so interesting, like, for a long time, like, I would, well, wait. Let me say this because I feel like it kind of ties into this. But you know how people are like, you can't love another person until you love yourself. I always thought it was a very interesting quote, which I understand it in a different way now. But before, like in past versions of myself, I always was like, that's interesting because I have a really deep capacity to love another person profoundly and unconditionally. And with my past partnerships, it was really easy for me to love the other person, to love them unconditionally, to love the shadow, to love their light, to build them up, to show up for them, to hold space for their feelings, for their thoughts, for everything, to hold space for that person. And as a deeply emotional person, as in I feel often deeply and have a very great understanding of emotions, I always desired that capacity to be loved and held and seen in return. And the truth is, the love that I have given to many people and in partnerships was a projection of the love I craved from myself. Because the truth is, at the level I am able to love and hold space and unconditionally love and nurture someone, right? See them. I can't expect that from another person. And if you are someone who relates to this, you'll find this to be true as well. But I mean, as someone who is, recovering from people-pleasing tendencies and codependency in therapy, I have never felt the love and the amount of unconditional love and care that I give to other people in return. And that is because, as the person who has the ability to extend such compassion and love and empathy, I am the one who is meant to give that to myself. No one else. It's for me. And I'm really in that phase of my life of seeing it, being it, honoring it. It's always been me. I've always been the true match for myself. And that's true for everyone. Not to say that, you can't fall in love and have a great partner. That is completely true. You can. And you will. But they are not someone to complete you. They are someone to co-create with and learn and grow and whatever you think, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and it's just such a more healthy and wonderful singlehood than my last one. My last one was, I'm single because I know my worth. That was my attitude. I was like, I know what I want. I know the type of person I want. And if they're not that person, I'm not interested. And I would date people, give them an opportunity, and then I was like, nope, you're not the one I want. And you know why? Because the one I wanted all along was myself, and I couldn't even see that. But hey, you gotta go through it to be where you are now, right? So, yeah, it's just like, wow, it's so wholesome. So, for this podcast, the Safe to Feel podcast, I'm really interested in discussing, well, for one, sort of just my thoughts and ideas, but also the themes and topics that I'll probably be discussing the most will have to do with, inner healing, self-love, reparenting yourself, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, your like inner child and reparenting. I like to show up for my younger self more as a big sister, but we'll get into that in more episodes and, talking more about parts of self and connecting with yourself deeper and honoring and how it shows up. But yeah, I have a lot of goodies in the self-love and healing sector, including breaking up with perfectionism. So we'll get into those things. Just, overall well-being, mental health. But I'm also really interested in diving into some spirituality. Especially if you're someone who is, deeply emotional and sensitive as I am. We'll talk about some really important things in that realm. Relationships. Just overall holistic wellness, health, all those goodies. So if you're interested in such topics, I hope you follow along and stay on this journey with me. And my real intention here is to connect and for this podcast to reach the people who are meant to see it, who are aligned, coming into alignment. And to end this first episode, I want to say that you are so loved, and I'm so excited for this new beginning and excited to see all of those who will listen and follow along. And if not, I'm just excited to do this anyway on my own. So, until next time.